From KDFW, this is a Fox 4 News Alert.
Good afternoon, everybody. Heather Hayes here with Sean Rabb in the Fox 4 newsroom, interrupting your programming this afternoon to bring you this breaking news. Sean, this is the end of a police chase. A hostage or a negotiator has been on the phone with the person inside that F-150.
Right. This all started in Mesquite at an address on Opal Street some time ago. Heather, don't know why Mesquite police were at that address, but something happened. Man then jumped in this F-150 or was in the F-150 and took off. Mesquite police gave pursuit. At some point, a Mesquite officer who was in the chase saw the man in that pickup with a gun to his head.
Right.
The chase continued along Highway 80 in Mesquite. They're now at 80 and 352, around 80 in Collins. They spiked his tires. The two tires on the driver's side are both flat. He drove on rims for a bit. And now, as you can see, a small legion of Mesquite police and Dallas Sheriff's deputies now in this area. A Mesquite negotiator has been on the cell phone with the man at times while he was driving. And at the last communication we understood from people we're talking to, he had agreed to step out of the truck, was going to put the gun down and step out of the truck, but clearly that hasn't happened yet.
Sean, that's what we were hearing, and you're right, because we're watching this live now, as you are, from Sky 4, and you can see guns drawn with these law enforcement members who are standing there beside. We're also hearing that parts of 80, this part anyway, has been closed.
Absolutely.
An industrial area and part of this, but you go not too far, Sean, from here, and you've got homes and you've got schools on this first day back at school.
Right. Just north of 352 and 80, you have Tripp Road, and then just north of Tripp is the Tripp Road Baptist Church,
right.
Sunnyvale Middle School, elementary school, right there. South of there, there's a strip center that has a Sonny's Donuts, Cleaners that they were talking about earlier, and then Stone Canyon subdivision. So, and of course, a lot of traffic on 80 this time of day.
Well, and the traffic too is, you can see just a little bit of it perhaps in the corner of your screen, because people are slowing down, not what you want to do in this situation, especially
Exactly.
with somebody with a gun in this F-150, slowing down, taking a look, and that's causing more traffic there as well, but also as we get closer to the evening commute. But again, we had heard that this negotiator, police negotiator, on the phone with the person in the F-150 had the gun to his head, put the gun down, and now we're waiting to see if this person then is going to perhaps work with that negotiator and step indeed out of that vehicle.
And this is a very tense time for law enforcement. A couple of things that they don't know the answer to. What's his mental state? Is he deranged or is he just desperate? But he put the gun to his head at some point. Why did he run from the police? Was he wanted already? What were the circumstances there? And certainly police don't want to get shot, nor do they want this necessarily to be a suicide by cop scenario, as we've seen play out before. So he's not yet done what they thought he was going to do based on what he told the negotiator, and that gives them rise for concern. If you're going to put the gun down and step out, then put the gun down and step out. And because that hasn't happened, you see the officers trying to take cautious, careful positions, even trying to see what they can see inside that truck from a distance.
Sure. All right, if you're just joining us, we're going to backtrack here just a little bit.
Reset it for a minute.
The chase did not last very long.
And it was not at very high speeds.
No, it never was. It started out very slowly from this address on Opal in Mesquite. Started out slowly. Police immediately kicked into action. They got the spike strips out there, the stop sticks. And when it then started getting closer to a high-speed chase, they threw them out there. They did, as you, Sean, said, the driver's side, the front and rear tires, drove on rims quite slowly for a while, and that was right when he was starting to get into, or this person was getting into high speeds.
Right.
And then rolled to this exit, and there you go.
And while on the phone with the police, he was driving. That was after his tires had been spiked, and he was on the phone with the negotiator, and slowly we saw him pull over the on-ramp here, or the exit ramp in this case, the exit ramp at 352, and stop right there. And again, you see there's no less than maybe 10 units at least. There's 9, and you can see in the picture there's a couple more behind. You know, and of course police aren't playing in this situation.
No,
they have to be armed and ready.
And you know, there's some down the road as well. They're just prepared as well. You know, you've, Sean, done a lot of these. How quickly does the negotiator step in? Because this seemed to happen really, really quickly, that the negotiator got on the phone. Is it because they saw that gun? Is it perhaps they knew who they might be dealing with, so they had some insight to his mental state?
I think it's both of those.
Okay.
And someone at that house on Opal or someone else were able to give them a cell phone number for him.
Right.
And so when they saw the gun, based on what was happening at the house before, then they see the gun. So yes, we need to begin immediately to try to establish communication with this guy. This kind of standoff, and this can be an hours, we've seen these, a many hours deal. The rest of the afternoon they can be there. Again, they're not wanting to have harm come to themselves or to him. They want to diffuse this if possible. So that conversation is continuing unless he's hung up the phone.
All right, Sean, take a look.
Yeah, here comes the SWAT unit right now. This is their armored vehicle, and they are really, based on where it is too, Heather. Remember, he's on the interstate. We still see cars traveling on the other side. They certainly don't want him to think about maybe taking shots at passing traffic. So they're trying as quickly as they can, as safely as they can, to get everything in position that they might need. And I would imagine that you might see that vehicle come a little closer.
Well, I was actually surprised when they kind of stopped there in the grassy area. So let's say the negotiator, if we're hearing, hey, person said they're going to step out, they're not stepping out. What's the next course of action? What is the next step to get this under control? Because they don't want it to last hours.
They're still talking to him.
Okay.
And if he hasn't hung up the phone, they are still talking to him. Okay, now let's put the gun down. Let's get out. We can talk through this thing, get you some help, whatever's going on, we'll take, that's the kind of conversation that's happening right now. They certainly don't want to yell at him, but they are being as forceful as they can, and they really, if he's still on the phone, all of this is based on him still having that line of communication open on that cell phone in the truck.
So it's interesting watching the SWAT members then get out of that vehicle and get themselves into position as they move around their vehicle to maybe get a better look.
Well, I think expect this truck maybe perhaps to move up closer. Heather, be right with you.
Sure. All right, again, for those folks who are just joining us, this is at 80 and 352 in Mesquite. This part of 80, what you're seeing, is shut down. You can see the passing traffic going by, so traffic has started to. The 80 traffic there is passing by pretty slow. You imagine some folks looking, and this is starting to back up traffic as well.
I got people calling me from Mesquite about what's happening.
And I apologize, somebody was talking to my ear, so I apologize for the pause there for a second. But this started, gosh, about 30 minutes ago, Sean. Opal
more or less.
Mesquite, right, give or take, went from a slow to a kind of high-speed chase, then back to
moderate
slow.
Speeds,
yeah. When the guy he was on the interstate, falling right behind a box truck for a while.
Right.
And then police pulled out the spike strips and knocked out the drivers. And
here's what I was telling you is going to happen.
Okay.
So the SWAT team has gotten out of the back of their vehicle. They're using it as a Roman horse, if you will, for cover, and they're going to inch in just as close as they can to the man on the driver's side. They're trying, first of all, to see him. What is he doing? Has he stopped communicating with them? If he's still in that truck with the phone and the gun, is there a way we can have the element of surprise, break that glass and get to him? They're trying to figure all that out, and they're going to try to put some good eyes in there as close as possible.
Have we heard if there's a second person in that vehicle, Sean?
I have not heard of anyone else in that vehicle.
Presume there's one person in the
I have not heard of anyone else in that vehicle. I think he's traveling by himself.
Because you wonder too if there was somebody, if they're in there, if maybe that's why SWAT is on it so quickly. Because you don't often see this. The SWAT get there in such a short amount of time.
We don't know everything that happened on Opal.
Okay, you're right.
Was someone hurt? Was a gun pointed at someone? We don't know that.
Right.
When those kinds of things take place, then the police response always ratchets up. Yes.
Immediately, so they know who they're dealing with in this in this chase.
Right. What they know is that there's someone who has exhibited some danger to other people, and now it's kind of like a barricaded person, except they're in a vehicle.
Right.
And
the problem there is it puts other people, like you said, at risk, the passing traffic.
Potentially, yes.
All right, so we're looking at almost getting close to 2:30. First day of school. Kids will be getting out relatively soon, starting in about the next 15,
that's going to be shut down. 80 at 352. You're going to have to go north to Tripp to get your kids. That's already shut down in both directions. We saw traffic in the other direction for a time.
It's done?
It's done. So 80 is shut down. So that means that folks who are coming out of those Sunnyvale neighborhoods that are south of 80 are going to have to go west into Mesquite and up over to Beltline to get to Tripp Road north of all of this activity.
And there are a lot of neighborhoods over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
North of, they're going to have to go all around, and that's going to be a big traffic jam. Plus, you've got, again, 80 is the major east-west artery through Forney, takes us through that area.
Right. All right, so as we're watching there, SWAT arrived, gosh, maybe 5-6 minutes ago, anticipating them possibly trying to get up, move a little bit closer to this vehicle as it looks like, again, other officers, guns drawn.
Well, let's take a close look. You can see there's an officer
on top.
On top,
right.
in the turret, if you will.
Right.
And a half dozen or so officers on the driver side of this armored vehicle. Couple of 3 behind. Now, understand, they practice this all the time.
Oh, of course, right.
But it's different from training. It's different from practice because you have an unknown involved here. As you see more DSO units flying by, the unknown is, what's this man going to do? You can see his hand there.
All right, well, here's what we do know, Sean. We do know that this person was on the phone for quite a while with a negotiator. We do not know if that police negotiator is still on the phone with this person or not. We also know that the person had a gun and for a while was holding a gun to their head. And it all started, give or take, about 30 minutes ago at this address on Opal, turning into this chase with dozens of law enforcement members now involved trying to talk to this person. At one point we heard, Sean, that the person agreed to get out of the vehicle. I'm going to get out of the F-150. That didn't happen. And then SWAT arriving 5-6 minutes ago.
Right, and that's been some 10, maybe 10, 12 minutes.
When they said they'd get out?
Yes.
Yeah. Right, and in a situation like that, if you say you're going to do it,
you
got to do it, or
right.
Officers then go to their next plan.
Right, because they don't want to get into this, they really don't want this to become a long, drawn-out, 100-degree heat afternoon thing on the side of the road.
So you mentioned the traffic. You've got a lot of trucks that go up and down 80.
Yes, you do. That's
and so
exactly, and it's shut down now in both directions.
Those folks are now having to wind their way, and so that
and
they
there's
can
not
get
a
to
lot
their...
of winding that you can do. There's not a lot past Collins. There's not a lot of north-south streets. You have to go back a bit into Forney to get you a north.
To go north to get a 30.
Yeah.
To get then, if you're headed west, to catch
right,
up where
to
80
go
would
around.
have picked up. Right.
Exactly.
Right. And that's going to put a lot of traffic on those neighborhood streets. Again, we go back to the first day of school. Parents not thinking that this is something that they're going to have to deal with
right.
When going to get their kids. So if you've got kids or family, babysitters are going to go pick them up. Just keep that in mind today. You're going to have to add a little time on as we continue to watch this happening. This is at 80 and 352 in Mesquite. You're looking at a live look now from Sky 4. This person inside this F-150. SWAT on the scene along with these dozens of officers waiting to see what this person with the gun inside that cab does or does not do. Had agreed at one point to step out, sitting on rims.
Right.
Not going to be able to go anywhere.
2:31 now. Sean Rabb and Heather Hayes watching this developing story in the Mesquite, well, actually Sunnyvale now, right at the Sunnyvale area. It started in Mesquite on Opal, and you can see, so we know who's in the smooth van now. You can see these guys here, these undercover guys on the left of your screen, or a tactical response unit on the left, as well as the unit on the right.
So it looks like, Sean, just watching the SWAT team members, more have come to the driver's side now. I don't know if that means that maybe this is when they start their approach, start to inch closer, because they're all, where for a while we were seeing more on the back side.
Right. And it seems like there are more along the side of that truck now, just perhaps waiting on instructions or directions. There is a negotiator on the phone with him. Certainly there's.
All right, so Sean's going to take some phone calls with his law enforcement contacts right now. But yeah, as he mentioned, the law enforcement negotiator been talking to this person inside the F-150. And it's breaking news, folks, so bear with us as we continue to find out more of how this started. We don't know why the initial chase started. We do know that officers were at this residence on Opal. That's where this started, in Mesquite, not all that long ago. So they knew who they were going to see. They knew, as Sean had mentioned a couple of times, the person's mental state. We don't know if then when this person took off, if somebody at the home, family member, friend, gave a cell phone number and said, call this person, they got a gun.
Right, but here's what we do know.
Okay.
He is still on the phone with negotiators.
He is still, well.
He's talking to them right now.
That's a good sign, right? Sean,
it's a very good sign.
Cut off communication.
He has not cut off communication, and the folks who do this, the men and women who are the negotiators in these kinds of situations, lots of training. There's something about them, how their voices stay calm. No matter what they hear, no matter what they're seeing, they never, ever seem excited because they want to bring down the level of tension, bring down the drama. So the fact that he is still on the phone is a good indicator for police. They're glad he hasn't broken off communication. And it could also mean that, you know, at least they're able to have his ear to continue to try to convince him to give up. Maybe he is going to, in fact, step out.
Well, but in the same breath, don't they want to get that conversation ended and get him in control? I mean, is there a window of time that you know what, we've got 2 hours? I mean,
it depends on how he sounds.
Okay.
It depends on how he sounds while they're talking to him. If he is not becoming more erratic, shall we say, and starting to make threats, etc., then they will continue to try and talk him down. That's the ultimate goal. Get him out, get him on the ground, get him away from the cab of that vehicle and the weapon, and let's diffuse this thing safely. And everybody go home tonight. Everybody go home or go to jail. That's the ultimate goal.
So just wait him out. Wait this person.
As long as they're talking with him.
Okay.
As long as they're talking with him. He's still on the phone right this moment. He's still talking to them. And so that's a long time to be on the phone with a negotiator. And they're saying something that has his attention. He's at least listening to what they're saying. He's at least listening to their argument right now.
So, Sean, yeah, you've been in touch with a lot of your contacts in law enforcement. Do we have any word yet on why this started, who this person might be? Okay.
Don't yet. No, it was, and unlike Dallas, where we can look up on the internet, look at their live calls, we're not able to do that, so don't know the nature of that call as it began on Opal.
But again, if it was law enforcement coming to this person's house, they knew, I'm going to see
for some reason. If yes,
if that's indeed how it happened.
Yes.
See, and I always think about the law enforcement walking back here. I'm thinking, stay behind your vehicle. I mean, I guess they know what's going on.
But I'm trying to gauge from their acts what he has said or what's going on.
They look very calm. Now, I know that they're, again, trying to do this. They look very calm. Guns drawn, but the people walking, you know, sort of between the vehicles, it's another day at work. They're doing their jobs.
Well, yeah, but believe me, they're very, 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 very careful.
Right.
There's a reason why some of them appear to be standing down, and we don't know yet what that is. Sometimes the idea is to move some folks back a little bit when you're trying to negotiate, but you're not going to give up your location. Look how these folks here have not moved at all in their positions, and as well as these patrol officers behind the first row of squad cars. We've been watching this for you. It's happening at the Mesquite. Really, it's in Sunnyvale right now at 80 and 352. And this is the vehicle that we've been telling you about, the SWAT team vehicle. And there you see the SWAT officers gathered here near that vehicle. You see the pickup truck in question. There are again at least 10, perhaps more squad cars and officers from Mesquite and Dallas Sheriff's Department in that area right now. We can tell you he is still on the phone. The person in the cab of that truck still on the phone with negotiators from the Mesquite Police Department. And this has been an intense conversation that's being carried out. Now they are trying to get him right now. The whole point of the conversation is to give up, put the gun down, come out of the cab of that truck, and let's talk about this thing. Let's take care of this matter another way. It doesn't have to end bad today. That's what they're hoping. And they're going to stay here in this position. All of them will not be leaving. They're going to stay here as long as they have to. Now, if some leave, it's simply for another purpose. If they leave this location, it's for another purpose. But once we see the big armored vehicle, the military-style vehicle that the Mesquite police have brought in, rest assured, no one's leaving until he's out of the cab of that truck. That's what's happening right now.
All right, Sean, thank you. We've been on the air covering this breaking news about 20 minutes or so now. As Sean was saying, people repositioning themselves. These law enforcement have their plan in place. Again, this negotiator's still on the phone with the person in that F-150, but we saw just a couple minutes ago one of the vehicles, the law enforcement vehicles, kind of back up, move out of at least our range, what we can see there from Sky 4. You still got dozens of law enforcement down there on the scenes. SWAT's been there for a good 20 minutes now. Mostly, as you could see, on top of the vehicle and then on the driver's side of the SWAT vehicle. You've got a good, 8, 9 officers with guns drawn. If you're just joining us here on Fox 4, we appreciate you sticking with us through this breaking news that Sean Rabb and I have been covering here in the Fox 4 newsroom for you. About 40 minutes ago, this police chase started. It started in Mesquite. You're looking obviously at the end of this chase, but started on Opal. We're still learning out more about why police initially went to this address on Opal, and we'll bring that to you tonight on Fox 4 News at 5. As officers continue to sort the situation out here. Anyway, started on Opal, started out as a relatively low-speed chase. Then we hear that officers find out the person in this F-150 that you're looking there on your screen has a gun in the truck and put the gun to their head. The police negotiator gets on the phone with this person, and if we're understanding it correctly, has been on the phone with this person for this entire time. Sean Rabb is telling us from his contacts that they are still currently on the phone. That police negotiator trained obviously to be calm, to talk to this person, try to figure out how to most safely bring this to an end. Let me tell you where it is at an end. This is in Sunnyvale. This is at 80 and 352. 80, as we know, a big commuter area for lots of drivers and truck drivers going east and west. It is now shut down in both directions, Sean.
So sources are telling me that the police responded to a suicidal person call at the address on Opal.
Okay.
And now as they're talking with him, he has said to them he has some kind of injury, back or leg injury, and he doesn't think he can lay down on the cement.
Which would be the normal thing that happens as you are face down on the ground.
Right. So they are trying to convince him now to come out, and we will take care of you and your injury.
Not an injury from today.
No,
we don't.
no,
Just an injury. It makes it difficult to.
We don't believe it's from today. Certainly, we don't believe it's from contact with police.
Sure. Right. Okay.
It could be, and so as you can see,
wow,
a SWAT. There's more police there.
Well, look at the backup.
Here's the backup.
So here's the thing: they weren't even able to get off.
There's a bus. No, remember I told you there's no exit.
That's right.
Remember I told you there's no exit unless you go back to.
It's Texas, Sean. We make our own exits.
Well, no, look at the service road. You know, I mean, the closest exit's going to be Elm Fork.
What a long, long day, folks. Thanks for staying here with us on Fox 4 as we cover this breaking news. You're looking live from Sky 4 at this backup east and west, both directions 80 in Sunnyvale, then moving into Mesquite, shut down. You can see the number. We were just talking about the number of a commuting area for truckers, a number of truck drivers in this, and the number of folks just headed to get their kids at school or get home or get to work, wherever they're headed. But boy, they are stopped now, and many of these folks have been stopped now for about almost 40 minutes as this negotiation has been going on with this person in that F-150. So Sky 4, you know, you feel bad for those folks who are thinking, I'm just going to get on the freeway and then on 80. And then they just get stuck. Okay, here's what I was just talking about. You making your own exit. That's what that vehicle was just doing. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that's what a lot of people do when you're in this situation. So be careful if you're on the road or you know somebody who is on the road, because it is a life or death situation, of course, for law enforcement and for the person in that F-150. As we just heard from Sean Rabb, he just found out a minute or so ago that the call initially on Opal that we told you about, where it started, was a call of a suicidal person. So then this person on the phone after this chase started with a police negotiator who said, I'll get out of the truck. Well, then he didn't get out of the truck and didn't get out of the truck. And we're learning now there was some sort of maybe a leg injury or a back injury that prevents that person from going face down, which would be the normal procedure when somebody needs to get the cuffs put on. So we're watching this. You just saw that backup, and police want to get this ended. SWAT wants to get it ended. And I tell you, the people stuck in that traffic, they want this thing over. Sean, I know you just got off the phone with some of your sources. Any more information?
Yeah. Mesquite police had 2 calls at about the same time about this guy. One from an address on Opal. The other from Wells Fargo Bank on Main Street in downtown Mesquite. A man with a gun in the parking lot. Police arrive at that location, and Opal's not far from downtown.
Sure.
Police arrive at that location. They see him in the parking lot, gun to his head. They see that.
So that's where the call, that's what we're hearing about. They saw the gun to the head.
Yes.
From that. Okay.
Yes. But there were 2 calls right about the same time. Right about the same time, there were 2 calls. And so they were responding to kind of both of these. They find him in the parking lot at Wells Fargo Bank, gun to his head. They see it at that moment. Then the chase is on. He jumps in the truck, takes off, chase is on. Listen, police are listening to us and watching us right now, and they are texting me for you and me to tell folks, don't exit. Don't make your own exit off the interstate.
And I was not promoting that. I just want to say a lot of people do it.
But people do it all the time. And so if you're at home watching, if you're at work watching, you know, if you're sitting in your vehicle watching us on the Fox 4 News app right now, don't make your own exit because it will interfere with the law enforcement mission. They just don't need anybody else trying to get past this moment.
I feel bad. I don't want anybody to think I'm saying that.
It's okay.
Okay. All right.
It's okay. So now we understand more about this response.
Right.
They had 2 calls, roughly the same time. He lives on the Opal Street, but was at the parking lot of the Wells Fargo on Main Street. There are a couple of Wells Fargos in Mesquite, but the one on Main Street, right off Galloway, downtown Mesquite.
So how'd they get the cell phone number? They knew?
I'm going to just attribute that to someone at the Opal address where the first 911 call came.
Gotcha.
Right. So he has a couple of health-related matters, according to sources, old injuries that he's dealing with and may be part and parcel of his depression today.
Sure.
Don't know. Do know that he doesn't want to be slammed to the ground because of his back injuries. So we're trying to get him to trust them to the degree that he will to come out.
All right, so we're watching then more law enforcement members kind of seemingly get in position, kind of move a bit closer, move, you know, behind the doors, vehicle to vehicle. Well, that's interesting, Sean, because we had heard on the scanner a couple of different bits of information coming in that there might be another chase going on, but now they're both put together.
Right. I don't know if Sky 4 can if they can hear us, to pull out for a moment again and try to show the traffic back up in both directions. Chip Wagner will be coming in soon, but this is going to take many hours to unwind if there has to be a lengthy investigation at this location. It's going to take a lot of time to unwind. Now, if he comes out of there and follows the commands and comes out, they will quickly unwind this thing. But so this is Collins exit, and as you're backing up here, okay, there's a Greyhound bus, and let's hope they don't have a connection in downtown Dallas at 3:30. And there you see the backup. That's the Hughes Funeral Home, New Hope Funeral Home rather, and there you see the backup. Commerce is at a standstill for the many 18-wheelers that travel that artery. There's one of the little subdivisions there, Heather, and it is kind of industrial mixed as well.
It's a mix. It's got the businesses, and then it's got lots of new neighborhoods, lots of great homes, lots of wonderful schools.
And that is a long, long, long backup. Wow.
Well, and when we were talking about traffic earlier, you said, well, there's not a lot of winding. You know what? There's really not. They're going to have some winding to do to get out of this, but it's not like you've got lots of side streets that you can take. You've got the feeder road, then you've got to go north or south.
There's the end of it there, but we're only a couple of exits from Forney when you get to the end of it here, so it won't be very long. Forney's not that far from Sunnyvale, so it won't be very long before the backup is pretty much the last exit coming there to Forney. And you can see the antique stores that are famous along 80 there in Forney. What a backup.
All right, so all of this because, well, about 45, almost
roughly
50 minutes ago.
About 45 minutes that we know.
Right. This got the call, the Wells Fargo. We know, Sean, if he was just in the parking lot, did he go in the bank? Do we know?
As I understand, parking lot is what I understand. That's what I've been told.
Okay.
Call about a person with a gun at Wells Fargo Bank, Main Street. Suspect is in the parking lot with gun to his head. Police see that.
Okay.
At the same time, or very similar to the time to the call coming in at the Main Street location, was a call on Opal about a suicidal person.
Okay.
Perhaps someone in his home or neighbor made that call.
Right. And then get the cell phone number, then that negotiator, as far as we know, has been on the phone probably this entire time.
Quite some time, yes.
Right. Last word you heard is they're still on the phone.
Still on the phone.
Figuring out again what is the best way to handle this person to
trying to convince him
them.
to get out.
Right.
Trying to convince him to come out.
Bring it to an end.
That's where they are right now.
Well, we appreciate you staying with us here on Fox 4 News as we continue to cover this breaking news for you this afternoon and interrupting your regular programming. So thank you for staying with us. Again, a long, long backup for these folks on 80, starting to affect a whole lot more people than just the law enforcement and this person inside this F-150. Absolutely.
It's going to make it difficult, obviously, for the school buses. That'll be, school's out between 3 and 3:30.
Yeah.
So 3:15 to 3:30. If this is still going on, it's going to make it difficult for buses to hit those southern routes.
Well, even now, Steve, even if it ends now, it's going to make it difficult because you've got the traffic that's got to figure it out.
Right.
But they sure want to get this brought to an end,
right,
to a close quickly. So you're looking now at Sunnyvale. This is just to kind of give you a point of reference. This is 80 and 352. This is where you've got the backup in both directions with 80 being shut down. Started, as Sean Rabb was just telling us, but we're going to kind of reset it for you just for a minute here. So bear with us if you've been with us here this entire time, because we are, it is breaking news, and that's how it goes. We're finding out more and more details every minute. But Mesquite Police received a couple of 911 calls just about the same time. One from somebody, residents on Opal, which is originally where we had thought this started. It didn't. We're hearing it started at the Wells Fargo there in Mesquite, and somebody in this F-150, man with a gun to his head. Police saw the gun. That's when this started as a low-speed chase for about 10-15 minutes, and the spike strips, they got involved. The driver's side, front and rear tires, you can see sitting on rims. But then the chase started to pick up speed, person getting on 80 and then exiting. Here you see this exit right here, and that's kind of where this came to a stop. And we were hearing the person in the truck said, okay, I'll get out of the truck. But now as Sean Rabb was able to pass on, they're saying, but I've got some stuff happening that might make it a little bit difficult to put my face down and lay down like I need to for law enforcement. So if we're understanding it correctly, the negotiator who is still on the phone with this person inside that truck is trying to figure out the best way to handle that. SWAT arrived about 30 minutes ago. They've been in position, as have these dozens of law enforcement members here who are just behind that truck. And when Sky 4 did pull out earlier, you were able to see quite a bit down the road here where there's an ambulance and there's dozens of other police vehicles kind of spaced out down the road. And then they've just got the traffic, boom, it has just stopped right there on 80. There's no getting off. Don't make your own exit. Just stay right there. Be patient, because law enforcement will get this taken care of as quickly and as safely as they can for everybody involved. For a while, 80 traffic in the other direction was able to pass by. Then they shut that down because you've got somebody with a gun in the vehicle and kind of trying to figure out again his mental state. And we're finding out more about who he is and perhaps what's going on. The person who called from Opal said there's a suicidal person that then connected to the person in the truck at the Wells Fargo. And because we were thinking for a while it was maybe two different incidents. Same incident, same person with a gun. And you want to be careful for the people in the surrounding area. So police then shut down the traffic on the other side there, 80, so no going by that direction. And now they've just got law enforcement behind, down the road, and it is while they wait to get this person then to figure out the best way for this person safely for everybody to get out of the vehicle. All right, so it looks like law enforcement, they're kind of milling about. They're behind the vehicles, some with guns drawn, some have been with guns drawn this entire time, others kind of more in the back.
Let me tell you what's going to happen to the sidebar story to this is the traffic.
Yes.
Okay, so I know that additional units are being sent for the eastbound traffic. Folks who are on 80 headed east towards Forney, They're going to shut 80 down probably west of the Beltline exit or at the Beltline exit. Oh, let me stop. He's opened the door. Look, he's opened the door.
All right.
He's coming out, hands up.
Yes.
White tennis shoes, some red and white shorts, black T-shirt it looks like. He's coming out, hands up. He's walking towards the officers. Okay. He's following their commands at this moment, hands behind his head. Remember, he had a back injury, so they're having him pull his shirt up over so they can make sure he's not wired, doesn't have anything. Pull his shirt up.
Now he's backing up like they're
he's
telling
following
him to
their
do.
commands. It's a felony stop.
Right.
This is how it goes down. He didn't want to be slammed to the ground, and they negotiated that part out. He's holding his T-shirt up, pulling it up over his head, kneeling.
On his knees?
Yes, on his knees. He's going to have to cross his ankles, perhaps. He's going to lay down.
Doing it himself, doing it.
All right, and hands behind his back. Now they're going to, you should see the officers move here fairly soon. There they go.
All right.
There they go. And you can hear the sigh of relief in about 30 seconds from
when they get the cuffs on.
80 and Collins to 400 North Griffin. Okay, he's in custody and he's being secured right now.
Okay. So you know Chip Wagner is going to be all over this traffic-wise as it does start to unwind.
Yes.
But
and he has been handcuffed now.
This person in custody.
And now they're just, as a precaution, they're going to make sure no one else is in the vehicle. But they did handle him with kid gloves because of his previous back injuries that he had shared with officers, the negotiator.
Right. Got to give it to the negotiator.
Yeah.
Great job.
Absolutely, it was today. And now they're making sure the vehicle is clear, that no one else is in there.
And so while they're doing that on the F-150, behind the SWAT vehicle, you see the officer just checking this suspect.
Making sure he doesn't have a weapon in his shorts. And you have to do that.
Well, you do.
But you can see the posture of these guys. No one else is in the truck.
So that's secure.
He's in custody.
Right.
And that worked out.
All right, so we appreciate everybody staying with us here on Fox 4 for a good 40 minutes or so while we've been watching this chase go down and the negotiator working with the person in the truck, person who had a gun.
I'm trying to see if he has anything around his waist. They're looking at his waist. Well, they're checking maybe they're checking the handcuffs. But he may have had I'm trying to see if that's a holster. I can't tell for sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
We can't tell you it's over.
Well, so how long they've got to figure out things here on the scene before they can let that traffic go, or do you think they're just going to say we got to open it up?
I think there'll be a few minutes here.
Okay.
But certainly not an hours-long lengthy investigation had this ended some other way. As soon as they get.
What is he holding? He's
holding up. I'm not sure. I can't say for sure what that is.
No.
Could be. I don't know. Maybe
we don't know. Well,
I'm not even going to speculate. A bottle of water?
Oh, okay.
So they're talking to him now, trying to understand what's going on with him and how all this came to be. And you can see officers now really standing down. A little fist bump there.
And tossing the water.
Smiles.
That is what he had, is tossing the water.
Little fist bump there, Heather.
All right, Sean, thank you. Thanks for letting us interrupt your programming here this afternoon. This is a situation that is affecting thousands of folks. You've got all these people, all the truckers just trying to do their jobs, getting up and down the Highway 80, you know, parents going to work, going to school, wherever they're going, and all of that traffic is just still at a dead stop. But hopefully they will get this open as soon as they can, because everybody wants to get to where they need to be this afternoon.
Right. And this is going westbound. What we're looking at right here?
Yes.
That's westbound, so I think it's a good deal now.
Oh, that traffic is just, Chip Wagner's going to let us know if this is done here by Fox 4 News at 5, but you know it's going to cause quite a bit of a backup for a while. So we want to invite you to stay with us on Facebook, on Twitter we'll be following this, and on our website as well, myfoxdfw.com. As we continue to find out more information, we will post that information on all of our social media sites, and then of course on Fox 4 News at 5 we will give you as much information as we can.
Just got the call. They're getting ready to open this thing up in about 3 or 4 minutes, so pretty quickly.
If you know somebody there in the roadway, text them, call them, and let them know.
Right, because certainly some folk in the backup have already called or sent a text to somebody about what's going on.
What is going on.
Blah, blah, blah. This will be a memory, even for the unwinding traffic, hopefully, about 3:30. But
We certainly
Heather, we'll
hope
have
so.
the update later in the newscast, right?
All right, absolutely. Starting on Fox 4 News at 5, we're going to get you more on how this started, perhaps more insight as to who this was. More, we've talked a lot about the police negotiator. We'll find out more there, what was said, if we can, and share with you what we find out. Thank you so much for joining Sean Rabb and I here for this breaking news. We will keep you posted throughout the afternoon if we need to. If not, we will see you back here for Fox 4 News at 5. Have a great afternoon.
Back to your regular programming. See you on Fox 4 News.